Great, how's everybody doing? Earlier, we went over different groups and we stumbled upon the whole races of men page. And so we decided to come back to the races of men page. And we're going to discuss some of the things we see going on here in the whole races of men section. And I'm gonna show you a few things. We're gonna just, this is gonna be leisure, to a degree, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so the first thing that we see over here is we have, here we go. Now, in this picture, it says that the red is the Indian, the yellow is Mongolian. It states the white is Caucasian. It states the brown people are Malay, and the black people are African. And we can see this. It doesn't quite matter when some of these are created. I just want to show you how diverse all these different authors are. Now, here's one, and I find this one very important. We see the black Australian. If you type in Australian and go to Google Images, you will see white people. Here in the Arctic, you see a white person. And if you type in Arctic people today, you are going to see Mongoloids. So this says that white man started in Arctic. Now, the Bible says somebody was given the cold land because their inner core was hot. Somebody was given the hot lands because their inner core was cold. So some people were placed in hot lands because naturally they just have more of a cold or a low fire. Some people were placed or won lots, right, in cold places because the inside of their tissues are fiery. Some people were just placed right in the middle because they weren't too hot and they weren't too cold. Just like the three bears, right? Now, the funny thing is we all know how white people love the cold because their skin has what we call what is it? It's when we go over the EU melanin, and they have sulfur in their, it's not sulfur, they have another name for what's in theirs, but it's basically sulfur based, and this is why they can deal well in cold. Now, when we see the Arctic here, we understand that principle, and I'm just not making it up. My wife burns hot when I get close to her. Sometimes she overheats, so she needs it cool. I'm sure other people have different stories about their wives, no matter what their wives look like, just based on the principles of what we're all made with. If we look at this picture some more, again, the Australian is black, the Arctic is white, the American Indian, of course, is red, the Caucasian, down in the lower corner, is black. The European is white. The Mongolian has an afro, and the African's hair kind of looks straight. So you see the Australian with the curly hair above the African, and look down at the African, and its hair's kind of straight. It's kind of feathered. It's almost like the Arctic, it's almost like the American, but it's not really like the Caucasian. Yes, he has browner skin, his skin's drawn brown, but his hair is drawn straight and feathery. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to be a complete idiot to see this is the closest to original picture that we're ever going to see about the races of men. Now, we all believe white people didn't start in Europe, and that's fine. We can keep whatever beliefs we want. We can all believe that the Caucasian on here that's brown skin belongs in Africa, and we can all believe that the names need to be switched around. But I believe these names are closer to their original. Now, when we go over some more of these, I've picked out a few to kind of look at. But browsing over a few of these isn't going to hurt us. All right, so there's 4 races of men, and you can see they are named as the Caucasian, the Negro, the Mongolian, and the American Indian. So I think it's funny how this Bible says there's 3 forefathers, but all these seem to be broken into more than just 3. And this is in 1885. The words are at the bottom, but they're so small. It's just a tease to go in and go back and forth and whatnot. Uh, so we're gonna look at a few. Now, we've looked at this one. We might come back to it. It seems to be a favorite. Now, this one we haven't looked at. Here, first, we have this top row. We have the Australian. Now, this is the Australian, and next to him, oopsie, where's my slide bar? There we are. Next to him is the pygmy. Now, this is the negrillo. All right, so that's the African pygmy. All right, there's another pygmy down there, and it will be the negrito, and that is the Asian pygmy. All right, so again, to believe these people came out of Africa is a fucking joke at this point. Now, if you stick with their colonial views that you have Africans, you can do that. But I'm gonna show you some shit today. All right. So when we see this, this is the Veda. This is the full-faced Veda. There's no more. Uh, uh, there we go. So he's considered the pre-Dravidian. Now here is the Veda from Profile. Now, yeah, going on. Here we have the Papuan. Papuan. These are the people of Papua New Guinea, the Papuan. And next to that, we have the Bushman. Now, most times they show you a Bushman, they want to show you a big giant afro and say, the afro represents that this is a Bushman. Now, look how unique his mustache is. You see, he doesn't grow any hair on his jawbone. He just grows a goatee. Now pay attention to these phenotypes. This is how you can tell who your neighbor is, what your neighbor is, where they were stolen from. Who warred with the European or the so-called European. Okay, so here is a Somali, an Ethiopian Hamite. So they wanted to throw all that shit in there. Okay? Somali, Ethiopian Hamite. And that's what they want you to believe. Now you see again, as he's marked as the Ethiopian, he can grow a mustache, but he doesn't seem to be able to grow a beard. I mean, he could have shaved today, but I doubt it. I very well doubt it. All right. Now here you have the Zulu. Now you can see he's got a clean shave, clean face. I don't think they grow facial hair. Hence, he wants to have a goatee so bad he done put spikes in his shit. Alright, so then you have the Western Hamite, so these people claim. And I think that's my computer screen, or does he have something on his nose? Hey, you got something on your nose, man. Alright, so now you can see that his hair grows in a somewhat curly pattern, and he knots his hair as well. That is the Tuareg. Tuareg. Turok! So here we have a Nubian woman. Or Nubian girl. That doesn't look like a girl, that looks like a woman. So you can see how tight and fine those braids can get, right? Now here's where you have an Andaman Islander, or the Negrito. Now I think it's funny that they call it the Andam, like anatomy. So this is the Andaman Islander. So these are some written word-wise, I believe these would probably be more so direct descendants of Adam. Or you know how they talk about uncontacted. Now here you have Solomon Islander. Now you've seen the children of Solomon Island, and you see how they have blonde hair as well, bright blue eyes as well. The DNA, Europeans wanted to claim them so bad they did DNA tests on them, and they found out that their hair has nothing to do with Europeans or Caucasians' hair color, whether they be Spanish, German, no matter what they're from. These children have these colors in their chromosome from other than European. So Europeans were mad about that. So here you have the Carib, all right, or this is the Caribbean, and you can see how he kind of looks like a Spanish person or a Mexican person, right? So when the Spanish come over and rape into these Caribs, you can see how when they produce the Mexican, it's not that far off from the white Mexican. Here you have the Javanese, now this is an oceanic Mongol. All right, these are the Maori people. Now they all don't cut their faces up, just like not all Africans pierce their chins and shit like that. You know, you have the Sheik, the Indo-Iranian, the Eskimo, the Inuit. Now you see here the Inuit is a Mongol. You see, let me show you this. This has blonde hair. You see the blonde hair coming out looking like Russian-esque? This is called a Lap. This is a Canaanite Indian. Remember we read about the Laps going up into the cold regions? They hang their babies from trees and stick a bone in their mouth. Now they draw pictures like the Eskimo to say that about these Lap people, but you can see what these Lap people truly look like. They're Caucasian. They look so Caucasian, they make sure to stamp the name Mongoloid here as if to say, don't confuse the ones that rule over you for these Lap Mongoloids. Now, if you take this phenotype into consideration, thin lips, kind of a big nose, blonde hair, and he's a Mongoloid, what the fuck is the difference between the people that are over here ruling over us? They look the fucking same to a great degree. See, when I read Laps and they show us fucking people that look like Eskimos, they're lying to us. If I type in Lap Mongoloids, they're going to show me Mongoloids. Why is this the only picture that's showing me a white man? from the cold regions, like I already explained. R1b DNA. It don't matter if this dude's a Canaanite or not, he's still out of Assyria, out of Africa. All these Mongoloids are out of Africa. The Japanese, the Chinese, the Korean, the Siamese, the Lap. Now here you have the Arab, and it says Semite, right? Now here you have next to him the Turk. Now Turks are Semites from their history. No matter what people write from their history, they're actually Semites. There's no clear evidence at this point. From my study, we're watching my video, sorry. So from my studies, I just haven't studied the Arab branch of, whatever. And I can't verify that they're Semites or not. That's just that picture. Now here's a picture of a North American Indian. And again, they tell you there's 500 nations there. They say these pyramids are older than the Indians, because when we ask the Indians who built them, they say, we don't know. Well, what you mean you don't know? You've been here forever. We don't know. What you mean you don't know? You've been here forever. We're not allowed to tell you. Here's the Kalmuk, Northern Mongol, right? See how that slope in the head happens? And sometimes you see what, Russians with that slope too? The same bloodline. Here's a Chinaman and a lady Chinaman, Southern Mongols. Now, that's always saying Mongol. It's not changing, right? It's not saying Mongol. Okay, it is changing. So, okay, so now here we have something different, right? We have Mongoloid. I don't know, something just told me to look, right? And then we have Mongol. Now, what's the difference between Mongoloid and a Mongol? What's the difference? Now, let's go to the next one that we have set up. Now, we have the Malay race here. Now, let me shut this computer down. Get it quiet again. And there's some pictures that came up, and they show the Malay people. And they say Malay, the conception as of Malay as a race. All right, so it just makes it smaller. That's great. Yeah, just go back. Now, it shows the Malay race as the Caucasian. Sorry, I thought it said Capuchin. The Caucasian, the Georgian. Can't see what that says. The Dravidian. Now you see this woman is labeled as a Dravidian, and we remember the last Dravidian looked crazy as hell, right? Pre-Dravidian. Pre-Dravidian. So there's a Dravidian and a pre-Dravidian, right? So here's the Japanese, and now here you have, right? We've all seen Friday, and this cat looked like what's the dude that's the drug dealer in Friday? It kind of looked like him, right? From Melee, right? So Taiwanian woman, Samoan, and New Islander. New Zealander. All right, so they say all these different races is the conception of the Malay as a race. Yeah. All right, so for some reason this ain't blowing up like it did last time. All right. I can't help that. I gotta either get it up or All right, well, here they have different races, but it's not blowing up. Let me get rid of some of these. Oh, there we go. No? What if I just get rid of that one? What if I get rid of that one too? Does it blow up? No. Gonna be stuck with that one. Sorry. Gonna have to skip that. Now see, this one blows up, but that one doesn't. Okay, so here again, we've seen this one before, but I like this one because this one feels like I can understand a little bit more about, my own background. Here we have a Mongolian on the right and an American. It says we have a Caucasian in the middle, an African at the bottom, and a Malaysian at the top. All right, now I feel that it's interesting how when you look at the Malaysian, you can see he has long hair, he has dark skin, and he's got a full beard, and the white of his beard shows out like that. Okay, that to me that says, somehow, that's closer to home than all this Africa or any of this Negro shit. You know, here we have War of the Races, men in great conflict and where they come from. So basically, you have images of people and arrows of where they're fighting for. Now, a lot of this is bullshit. You can see that there's a Caucasian here under the term Canadians, and they're pointed there. Um, this would be a good time, I guess, to go to YouTube uh, or through YouTube. Uh, let's get down. Let's find the truth. Pop his channel up. We'll pop that window up, and we'll close out. Oh, didn't open it. Here, do it again. Now we'll close this, and we have his website open. Now with his website, we can just go to the book. All right. So Brother Ed's got the library going. Like when I use it, it's the Alexander Library, right? Right. I'm just playing around. So we look at some of the books that are over here. All right. So he put up Josephus for us. And that's a big bonus. But we're gonna go down to America being the greatest description of the New World. All right. And we're gonna close those out. And we want page 130. On page 130, there is what we're going to read. Now, there's about 15 to 20 pages. I think it's 17. So 130 plus 17, 147. Let's see if we can get 130 going. Oh, 125. That was off. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. All right. So we're going to do some reading real quick. All right. Now we're going down to the last paragraph. When we go down to the last paragraph, it says, besides these 3 above-mentioned towns, there are several others which are not undertaken notice of in the most modern description and maps. Static, this is in Canada, the Staticone, somewhat west of a small isle called the Isle of Orleans, Quebec, Canada, which being made a colony of the French, that means that the French came over and used technology and military might to take it from somebody and expelled the natives, and the natives expelled came to be entitled St. Croix. Okay, so wherever they took these natives, they named this place St. Croix. Okay, so let's see. If we go over here and we just go to Google, let's type in Quebec. Let's say they said we took Quebec. Quebec. There you go. Now, Cabinet Province. Let's look at see how big is that. So that's Quebec, right? So that's the size of Quebec. That's like a whole damn different country, right? Now here's okay. Let's click on that. Right? You can give me an image. Now look how big Quebec is, right? There's Newfoundland, right? Let's go up a little bit. See, so there's Toronto. So there's New York. So big giant Quebec make everything look fucking small, don't it? Little New Hampshire, little Vermont, right? And there's Maine and there's New York. Okay, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. Okay, so here we are on this one, and it says that they made what? Quebec, which being made a colony of the French. Now that means they took it over through war. And the natives expelled came to be entitled St. Croix. Okay, now let's go back to this map. No, no, let's go to this one. Here's St. Croix. All right. So when you say, hey, where's St. Croix at? I was wondering, where is St. Croix? Okay, so here is St. Croix. That little dot right fucking there. Right? Just like, yeah. Right. Okay, so right here, here's Maine, right? Here's big Maine, and then up here's big giant Quebec. All that land that was stolen from those Indians. And where'd those Indians go to? They went to St. Croix Island. Where's that island? You see where that little arrow goes to? That little fucking space right between those two giant, right between, like when you draw two states, you have to draw a line. St. Croix is so fucking small, it's covered up by the line you draw. They had to make a fucking circle to say, whoop, this is what it looks like on that little ass line. So you mean to tell me these people came from fucking France, a country that is France? Like, I wonder the size of France in comparison to oh shit, zoom out. I wonder the size of France in comparison to the size of Quebec. I mean, think about what they're saying to you. Oh, we, the French that come from this little tiny place called France, see how big Quebec is? See, I don't want you to think it's just small because I only showed you like everything like below that line. I want you to see how fucking huge it is. And they took this from the Aboriginal people because they had technology, right? I'm gonna show you where it happens to the Malay people. Don't think I brought you here for a video just to sit here and cry and shit. Yeah, right. Now, let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. Now, there's Maine, right? There's I keep trying to point with my finger and shit like you're gonna see that shit. I just keep forgetting. All right, let's zoom in some more. There's that line, that dangerous line that has a chance of marking out the place that we're even looking for, right? Now we done zoomed in pretty far, and it doesn't seem to show itself, right? I don't see it all the way up in there. No. Oh man, dude, this is getting old. Let's just ask this motherfucker, where is St. Croix? Croix, whatever. Croix. Oh, it's all the way up there. See, my bad. I was down here looking like they got some ocean view. Ooh, Mr. Computer, why you do that? Oh, wrong page and everything. St. Croix is where they got moved to. So let's zoom out a little bit. There you go. Oh, see, that's where they moved them to. All the way up on the line, right? They moved them pretty far out of their land, though. Like, right? I mean, Quebec's up there. They moved them that far out. Nick Adams is more popular. Why? Because black people there. So you see what's going on. They're like right in there, where somewhere in there. whatever. But you see it. Now, since we have this open, we're going to keep reading. All right. So they moved him over there. All right. And so it says the principal tribes of the ancient natives of this country were on the north side of Canada, the Canadians, the Benti Shemites, the Canadians, the Benti Shemites, the Hurons, the Algonquins, the Quinaughtibins, the Algonquins, the Atogapatons, the Aticapas, the Nephi, right? Nephi Cyrenians, or Cyrenians, and on the south side, the Echebinians. So that's 10 tribes. Oops, there's a camera. So that's 10 tribes, right? I keep doing it again. So that's 10 tribes. And the chief heads, right? The chiefdom or princes of these tribes are called the Sagamores, right? And when I said this, I was talking to a brother on the phone. I said the Sagamores, and he misheard me, and he said, "Did you say the Jaguars?" And then so I started thinking again, man. Well, what if this is, a slur and shit, and they actually said, the Indians said to them, Jaguars, when they wrote Sagamores or Sagamores, or it could really be Sagamores. Like I live in Ohio, we have a place called Sagamore Hills here, right? Now I don't have any proof or belief that there's jaguars up there in the cold, but then again, they're bobcats, and I don't know what people called what back then, and blah blah blah. All right, so right here we have the actual Benjamins, the tribe of Benjamin. The problem is the people that rule over us can't pronounce B-E-T-I Semite. Bentissemite. They said Benjamite. Bentishemite. Benjamite? No, Bentishemite. So they can't pronounce it. So this is why we've never heard the name Bentishemites. Siamite, Bentisiamites. Bentisiamites, excuse me, it goes S-I-A-M-I-T-E-S. And these Benjamites or Bentisamites were up in Canada. I keep looking over there. Why don't I put this right in the center so that way, there. All right. All right. Again, the Bentisiamites, the Hurons, the Algonquins, and then a bunch of other tribes that I can't name, but the Etchemins, I'm pretty good because we have food called Edamins. Yeah, great. So that's 10 tribes that were, if we read more, we'll find out more about what happened to them. Some of them can probably still be today up there in St. Croix. Now, let's go a little further into this. All right, we got that far, didn't we? Since we brought up Canadians. All right, here we go. 5 races of mankind. Dealing with this one again, and then we scroll down. You can see the Indian playing the third eye game, right? I don't care if somebody drew that shit on them, but they seen these motherfuckers wearing this shit anyway. All right. You know how when the doll for that doll, there's some dolls that have whiskers that come out of their eyes right there. If you look at the Saw character on the thing, note that I'm not sure. I don't watch the Saw series. I'm not popular with me or anything, but doesn't he have those things coming out right there, down around his eyes, like that? It has to have meaning, I mean, that's just not some shit you just draw, just be drawing shit. The littlest thing on people have meanings and shit. All right, this one doesn't have any names going, but this is basically the Malay here, the American here, and they call this the Caucasian, and the Mongol, and the African. And as you can see, always everybody's underdressed. Look how the black people don't wear any clothes, right? And all the other people do wear clothes. So this is how they're always going to depict you, as fucking shirtless, freaking people, because they don't, they want you to look like you're savages, you know. This is what they want, you know. All right, so here we have the Caucasian, right? And this is like have we ever seen an image of the Greek looking like this before? Like, that's what they show them as. And they have the Saracen, the Saracens, right? And a Chinaman, all under the Caucasian race. See, now I've explained to you, I believe this is Assyria. So when you see the Saracens or the Assyrians and the white Greeks and the European, you have the Chinese, who you can easily see is African through their name. You have the DNA. When you bring up the DNA, all these races go back to R1 or E1B. You even see in Africa, I mean in Europe, through white males, a lot of E1B1. Now, Mongolian, now they've separated the Chinese from the Mongolian. This one, they put the Mongolian with the Turk in the Kamchatkan. Over here, the Malay, they show you a race that I really couldn't tell you what it is because their hair is covered up, and anyway, you know what the Polynesian looks like today, and they've shown you some kind of Caucasus person over there. You know what the Hindu look like, and they've still drawn a Caucasus person in there. No, we can argue that that's a Caucasus-looking person for Hindu, but if I type in Hindu, it's not going to come up with a person that looks like that to a great degree. That's not the first thing that you see. That face looks exactly the same as the Turk's face. You see the Turk's face on the screen right now? It's the same. It's a very horrible artist. Now, I want to show you this down here, though, because this is the funniest thing, right? So you see this guy right here? This is the Slavic right in the center, right? And they don't put his name there. They won't tell you that's the Slavic, right? Now, over here, they don't tell you what kind of Indian this is. They just kind of, here's the Crow, here's the Pawnee, and here's the Mohawk from their description, all right? But this one is not depicted, right? Now, here's a funny thing. Here's the people from New New Guinea. Here's the people from Papuan, and there's the people from Zanzibar. Now, what they write up underneath that? They wrote that they all Ethiopian. Now, isn't that interesting that they write they all Ethiopian? And then over here in the corner, still under Ethiopian, here you got the low nigga hanging out by himself. But you see some of these are real, and some of these just support bullshit. Oh, okay. All right, I don't remember what I had this one up for. So we're gonna go keep moving. Now, when I was looking at Google, this came up, and I hadn't seen this shit like this before. I saw this shit, and this shit just kind of tripped me out, man. So it say the race of two Negroes. Now, I want you to understand, most people can't count. It seems like most people can count, but most people can't count. And by the end of this article, you'll understand what I'm saying. And if you don't, you didn't pay attention to numbers, and that means you can't count. All right, in Atlanta, Georgia, November 30th, we don't know the year, that there are two distinct races of Negro in the South. That one race is peaceful and docile and law-abiding, and that 98% of all the Negro criminals come from that other race. Now, it's easy for people to say some shit like that. Like, I ain't do it, they do it. This they kind of people, right? All right, so 90% of all criminals that are Negro come from the other race. It says, was the starting statement made by Atlanta criminologist in Judge L.S. Roan's branch of the Superior Court yesterday. He sets up equally startling theories to support the first one. He calls one race red-gummed Negro. Now, I have horrible teeth, or I would show you my gums to show you which one I am. All right, so let's just pretend this is real, because this you'll be surprised about what's said here. Okay, he says the first is called the red-gummed Negro, which he says comes from Guinea and South Africa, and is peaceable. The other race, the other dark meat, right? Right. You got the other white meat now, the other dark meat. The other race he calls the black and blue gummed Negro. Now, he says black and blue. Now, get this. He's about to correct himself. All right. Now, he says the black gum Negro and the blue gum Negro. All right. He says, now we had the red over here. The black, okay, I know it sounds like he's trying to make it sound like two or one, but no, just listen. Now listen. They say, the black and blue gum Negro, which he says comes from northern Africa and has Mohammedan blood in his veins. This black gum Negro, not the blue gum Negro, no, the black gum Negro, according is this theory, is as vindictive as an Indian and as resourceful as an Oriental. Judge Rowan was so much refreshed in this idea. Excuse me. Judge Rowan was so much interested in this idea that he is going to study it from an ethnological viewpoint. Now, that came up. I wanted to share that. I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, now we're back, and we're going to go to the Malaysian people. Since we've seen some things that point that the Malaysian people are Afro people, we've seen some things that point to there's a lot of good ones on here. This shows you see at the top it's the American, at the bottom it's the Malay. It shows you over and over again that Afro people come out of Malay. Now I say come out of Malay because when you go to Malaysian people, here you see these Caucasians or these pale Mongoloids, however you want to fucking view it. Like they're all of the same race or same stock from this point. Each of these people have taken your land and not one of them have an Afro. There's not one Afro persons in these colonial proceedings overthrowing Aboriginal people. The only people that did that were Moors, and that time period passed. When we go to ancient Malay people, since when we type in Malay people and they start bullshitting us, right? Then we want to go to ancient Malay people. Now they show you these Mongoloids that have I don't know, weapons. I don't know. All right, so this comes up, and this talks about third wave introduced civil natives called the Deuteron Malays. They were crossed with the Proto-Malay natives with Indian Asian. Okay, so here this thing is talking about Deuteronomy or Deuteron, and I've never heard anything called Deuteron this or Deuteron that, except for laws. Never have I heard a people group being called Deuteron. So that encouraged me to want to see what the hell's going on. So it starts talking about the Apat-Ne-Alone-tribe. So and interesting right off the start. So we go and it says the real Filipino roots, how we became. So you see there's a modern picture of a dark-skinned woman, and as you see going down, there's historical pictures of dark-skinned people, and then at the end they show you uh, uh, a pale mongoloid. Now it says the Malay archipelago. The archipelago means islands. The Malay archipelago, the islands before government, colonialism, and politics, colonialism, and nationalism, Nazi colonialism started, consisted of only what we know as the Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea. Within the vast archipelago, these islands was not inhabited yet, only by prehistoric animals. So that's interesting, right? It said the island was not inhabited, it only had prehistoric animals, right? So that's, so you have to say, what's a prehistoric animal? Yeah, that's right. And so these things were on those fucking islands, and that's what the person is trying to tell you. All right. So only by prehistoric animals. All you do is type in prehistoric animals. That's what you're gonna get. The person doesn't have to write. It was populated by dinosaurs to throw the reader off. Now, if you don't believe that, we can always go up here and type in prehistorical animal bones found in Malay. And when we go to all, because we want text, and it talks about prehistoric Malaysia. All right. And it'll go into a lot of other things and so forth and whatnot. And that's not what we're really aiming for, right? We had seen some things over here talking about a third wave of Deuteron Malay people and how they mated with the people and what became of them. Okay, so here we have a written account from the author of this page of the first wave of Aboriginals. All right, then we have the second wave of Aboriginals, and then what we're looking for is when it gets to the third wave of Aboriginals. So we can read the third wave right now, and then we can be like, yeah, this is what it says, but it'd be more sensible for us to read the first wave, the second wave, and then the third wave so we can understand what is on Malay. The first wave of indigenous people that traveled to explore new homeland, and that's what it means to be indigenous to something. All right. Now, when you go, you're indigenous, you're the first, and then somebody else comes along, and then either you war or you make friends, but you still produce babies out of that relationship. What you guys then call hybrids is then called aboriginal. A plus B now makes the original people. If they come a war, then this is the beginning of it. This ain't it's different than you are colonizing a place, but it's different than trying to colonize the world to steal everything from everybody. Anyway, let's not get off of it. The first indigenous people traveled to explore the new home world was the Etias. Now, when it says Africa and it's got I mean, when it's excuse me. When it says A Egypt. We don't pronounce it A Egypt. We still just pronounce it Egypt. So here, I believe the A is silent because it's two vowels. The etas, or is it aetas? You'd be the judge based off your version of English language, because English language is just based off of other languages. It's the root meaning of all the other languages combined into a language that our colonial masters grouped together could pronounce. Now, it says the aetas are negritos, which are crossed with Afro-Asiatic and Austro-Aborigines. Now, when the Austro and the Afro-Asian come together, they make pygmies, because negritos are Asian pygmies. Now, that means that the Austro people came up into Asia, or they started in Asia and dispersed out. Now, which one you decide? They eventually end up in Australia, but then they're moved. Now I remember I told you when the A and the E come together, they're talking about Afro people. For most of the words that they create, when the A and the E come together, they're talking about Afro people. Now, the Etas or Getas or Negritos. Now you're familiar with that name, and they're talking about the same people. Or Adamanese, all right, children of Adam. And the Andaman Island, that's in India. So these names all mean the exact same group. The Negritos, excuse me. Now all these same group is how we're taught to view it as 4 different races came out of this mingling. 4 didn't. Is 4 brothers, and then they met with some women. Now, the first brother sleep with women, and it's called the Etas still. The second brother sleep with women, they call the Agetas. The third brother sleep with women, they call them the Negritos. The fourth brother sleep with women, they call them the Adamanese, or Andamanese. Alright, so that's all that is. That's the same fucking bloodline until one of them sleep with somebody else, and then everybody else does, and then the population changes. Now, understanding them is as this branch, just don't really make sense. Understand them as this son 1, 2, 3, and 4. It kind of, in my mind, excuse me, it kind of does make sense. But calling them all these different names and shit don't make sense, man, because it's still the same blood. You know, you say you got Egypt North, South, you got Egypt East, you got Egypt West. You ain't calling them all different motherfucking names. You still call them Egyptians. These still the children of Adam. Calling them Negritos, calling them Agatis or Agetas or Etas. Etas or Agetis or Negritos or Andamanese. They were the first to reach several exotic islands of the archipelagos and called it home. This was approximate. It's brothers breaking up. You take there, there, and there. You know, we can split the fresh fish in the sea. That's what's, man. Now they say it was approximately. Now you can't say it's approximately and put a fucking space between them. There's 4 different groups going at 4 different times. If they went at one time, then we need one date saying they went between 15,000, approximately between, shouldn't be in the same fucking sentence. On this date, they went. That's what approximate means. Now, these people, hey, check this out. We're gonna have ourselves. I'm gonna slowly piece your ass together on this Mandela shit. Now, let me ask you a question. If white people control every facet of this nation, they control how black people live, what black people read, what white people read, how white people live. Why are they gonna call when white man start telling the fucking truth the Mandela effect? How come overnight all these videos just sprout out about the motherfucking Mandela effect? What did Nelson Mandela do to make people think because the white man's telling the truth about shit? It's now an effect. Now listen, some people are just fucking stupid. And they're gonna tell you about stupid ass shit. I watched this dude's video about JFK and the Mandela effect, and he sat there half the time saying, I didn't think he was in a limo. But here it is recorded, and he's in a limo. No shit, motherfucker, he's in a limo. Then the motherfucker spent fucking 20 more minutes trying to say Jackie Kennedy shot JFK. When you can clearly see a fucking gun come from the front of the car and go, poof, and then the dude's face. How do you do that on camera? Yeah. It's silly. Now, there is one of these videos that made me understand what was really going on. Now, at first, the Mandela effect seemed like, let me listen in. I'm slightly intrigued. All these white people going insane all at once. I love it. So when I listened in, I found out what it was. I'm going to tell you what I listened to. I'm not going to show you. I might show you another day. We got a lot of videos lined up to come. All right. This is the best way I can show you is basically here's Europe, right? And here's England, Scotland, and Ireland. Now Europe felt like England, Scotland, and Ireland have been this close to them forever. They felt like the English Channel was a really tight channel to get through because every time anybody made a freaking map, they made it as if the coasts were touching. Now recently, England brought out their new map. And they just probably produce anything they want to, anytime they want to, because a Freemason controls map companies for the most part. Now they didn't come out with a video. I mean a map instead of the country, the islands being that close. Now they all the way out here, and everybody's like, "How is Britain so far away?" Because they fucking lied to you, and it makes sense because they wanted your ass fooled too. And now here's the story. Remember when they started talking about the upside down map? And then we go and we click on upside down map. You watch a little 3-minute video of like one of these presidential shows. I forgot what the name of it was. And they explain to you that colonial powers drew the map upside down so that England was at the top of the map ruling the visual world. When in reality, when you turn the map upside down, England is down here at the bottom. Then they made England bigger than what it was, Britain bigger than what it was, to make people think it was big as one of the bigger countries of Europe. And then obviously because of the way they're crying today, because they discovered Europe is actually far away from Britain, they changed the distance on the map to make people think it's part of the country so they can easily rule over them through thought. And this is what they did. And now this shit's coming unraveled. Who gives a fuck if the bitch said mirror, mirror on the wall, or if the bitch said magic mirror on the wall? It's still witchcraft. Who cares if they change something in the New Testament? Who cares if they change something in the Old Testament? They changed something out of the Septuagint to trick us. They took our books and made a Septuagint anyway to trick us. Now ask yourself, why does Septuagint say so much shit that's different from the King James Bible? We're on a fucking pyramid, people. All we're doing is starting off at a base mentality and slowly getting up to the top. And as we get up to the top, we rise in this knowledge. all these things that people have talked about throughout the world, throughout time, they've existed one way or the other. And for the most part, they've been covered up. Everything you've touched, they done over fucking thrown you and taken your name. And you went into Khazaria and what? As Koshian. And they came in and fucking took that land over. And then started calling themselves the Khazarians. And then called you slaves. And then eventually freed you as slaves, but you ain't go nowhere because you ain't nowhere to go. The same problem that we have here in America. Because we feel we ain't got nowhere to go. We don't know where to go because we don't know who we are. Africa's so far away, we'll never make it there. Unless we conform for a time to be able to save money to make that flight, to make that transfer. That's why they did that. Now, let's get back to this real quick. Oh, we're at the end. I'm just playing. Now, these four the first indigenous people that traveled to explore the new homeland was the Etas and the Negritos, which crossed with Afro-Asiatic and Austro-Aborigines. The Etas or Agetas or Negritos or Adamese. All right, now the problem is the Negritos and the Adamanese live in different places. The Adamanese live on the Adamanese Islands. The Negritos, for the most part, I believe, are South America if they're not spread out. Now, the Agats, don't know, and the Yetas we're learning about as well. So, they were the first to reach several exotic islands of the archipelagos and called it home. It was approximately 15,000 to 3000 BC. Original indigenous native man of East Indies and of the island continent, which is now known as Australia. Now, do you understand that? If there's a race, we got there first. These Afro peoples that we're related to got there first, and then they were screwed out of it. Within these times, the Etas were nomadic because of changes in the weather, their food, and the food sources. They traveled through vast regions of the archipelagos, going from island to island hopping, baby. From the South Seas, for instance, the people of Malaysia, Fuji. So, when you look at the people of Fiji. All right, so the Etas area mixed descent of African and Asiatic roots. They come from, see, up here they say Afro-Asiatic and Austro, meaning Australian. Now they're just lying, right? The Etas is who they are. No, okay, that's the Negritos, excuse me. They're saying that the Negritos are Afro-Asiatic and Australian, but the Etas are mixed with what? Whatever. And the Etas, this is the difference. This is why they're brothers and who they slept with different. The Etas are mixed descent of African and Asiatic roots. So one or the other, father's African or mother's African. They come from Asia, evolving as a new race of beings. Okay, the new hybrid children group come out as adults or as a peoples, as a new race of humans, different from the present day black people of Africa or the present day Asians. Okay, so that's how a lot of us have been made. Now, if we think about it, we live in a time of amalgamation, and we can see that a lot of us have other nations as mates or wives or girlfriends or lovers, whatever, and we can see the production of a a golden skin, golden hair kind of child being coming to the United States and other places where this amalgamation is happening. So again, when this happens back then, and the Lord's telling us to keep our races pure, as you believe that's what He's saying. I'm not saying that's not what He's saying. I'm just saying He laid some stipulations. But uh, but all these people amalgamated with each other and made what you call admixture or hybrids or the new people of the earth, which we are descendants from. So a lot of people sit here and come here and say, you're mixed, and this is what they feel that they're going to attack with. We've been mixed for a long time. And to keep saying stupid shit is just going to be viewed as stupid shit. Now, it states that they came from Asia, evolving in a new race of beings different from the present day black people of Africa or present day Asians. All right, so the second wave alongside the Etas, different from the diverse civilizations, were evolving faster and more advanced than them. This is because of Malay archipelagos, many secluded islands. Time seems to stop as primitive indigenous tribes are in seclusion, with the many islands of the Pacific were settled by the Etas. Etas. Another wave of intermixed race appeared. These natives came down also from Asia and evolved to another race. They were called the Proto-Malays, Malays, Mongol-Asian descent. So they are Mongol and Asian, and they came down and mixed with the Afro-Austrian, Afro-African, Afro-Asiatic, but it's Afro-Asian African. So the Mongol Asiatic mix and descendant, they are from the mainland Asia, and are the second to settle in Malay archipelago. Let go my ego. Let go of my land, man. Let go my ego. Look, archipelago. Lego. Logo. The Proto-Malays. The Proto-Malays were more technically advanced group of 2500 BC, the second wave. They were seafarers and farmers, and their advances into the peninsula forced, what did they do? Forced the Negritos of the land to the hills and to the jungles. Although there were few territorial fights in the beginning of the Proto-Malay settlements, they have lived. I think they need a D there. Side by side with the Etas, peacefully within their island homes, exchanging information. Both the Etas and the Proto-Malays practice head hunting and is part of the family of Malo-Polynesian language group. Now, if you see the people of Fiji, you just go to, I guess Google would be fine. Go back there and go back to the top. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. And just type in. Now this is a good one. This one's where things get fucking weird, right? Fiji. Oh, Figgy. Whatever. They'll correct it. Now, when you go to Fiji, oh, I didn't want that. I hit map, didn't I? I want images, and I want people of. Now, see if we can find it. Now, you can see that there are people there that look like you, kind, and those are just vacationers. And all kinds of brown people there, man. You know, a few of these people might have been snatched. You know, some of these people look like they're related to you. Some of these people look like your cousins, but we all look the same when we kids, right? So here you see these people been tricked into holding up the Roman cross and the British banner that's enslaved them. All right. Now here you have people of Fiji Islands, right? Now here you have the natives that came down and used boats that they were just talking about. All right. So there are two nations of quote unquote colored people, one Asiatic Mongoloid and the other Afro-Asian Australoid slash African. And they're all living together side by side with no problem till the British came. Now you see how they got red? See how they're ruddy? Their skin is ruddy and they're red. These are your brothers. Now I'm going to show you the people of Fiji, the people of Solomon Islands, people of Papua New Guinea, the Papuans. These are all your relatives. You've been extracted from them. And they've been extracted from you. You can see they've been in these islands since day one. Did you get snatched off some islands at some point? Did you willfully leave the islands and come to Americas at some point in history? We don't know. But we know slavery happened here, and we know slaves were dispersed from here. This was the slave port. Every place had a slave castle, but the United States was one giant fucking slave castle. Now, we got down to the headhunting. Yeah, we got that far. Now, here's what we came here for, the third wave. Now, here we have black people, and here we have some interesting things. They say this is the Lapuo people, right? But you scroll over this, and they don't tell you a fucking name. No, you scroll over these, they tell you a name. You scroll over that, tell you a name. Scroll over that, tell you a name. Let's go up here. Scroll over this. African headhunter. That's all they want to fucking tell you. He's a headhunter. Look how he naked. They're happy to tell you that naked motherfucker ain't nothing. This says four waves. That's not a name or a nation. This says four waves. That's not a name or a nation. This says four waves. That's not a name or a nation. Right? It won't even tell you that woman's nation. Right? It told you all those people nations. Tell you this person's nation. Again, now when I put the cursor on that, it don't tell you shit. You see those people all dressed as one, acting in unity and solidarity? They don't want you to know who those people are because they don't want you acting in unity and solidarity. You always remember this. I've told you over and over again. I showed you other people telling you. If you don't unify under something, you will die. You are a fucking Babylonian. Chasing these other races don't matter unless you're willing to unify. The third wave introduced civil natives called the Deuteron Malays. They were crossed with the Proto-Malays, natives with India-Asiatic. Here's the Proto. Do you see the Asiatic and Indian? Or does these guys look Asiatic and Indian to you? Now, we know these people have Asian and Indian blood, but we didn't know they have Asian and Indian blood because they mixed with these people. The deuterons crossed with the proto, or the proton, to get past the nucleus, and they scored on the electron. Alright, these natives with Indian Asiatic, which was Indian, Chinese, Siamese, and later mixed with Arabic. So the Arab didn't make it that far on the scene yet. Now, if the Chinese is doing all this mixing with all these other nations, even the Mongol, who they fenced out of their land. And why did it take the Arabs so long to come over? Because the Arab is a hybrid out of other mixing. And it took a while, like the second wave, right? The new man came out. It took a while for the new man and the Arab Persia world to come out, right? These people brought with them diverse influence. They were more civilized. So, along with Etas and the original Proto-Malayan natives, the Deutero, right? The Deutero, now up here it says Deuteron, and down here it says Deutero, Malays, in comparison, was not as primitive. So they overruled the majority of the archipelago. Now, here's what I want you to see. This is the most important thing. Now we can find out who's made it with who all we want. But how do these people fall? Not until the Spanish overseers. Who the fuck says these people are your overseers? Oh, they came with guns. Oh, well, if you have bows and arrows and these motherfuckers come with guns, then I'm pretty sure the guns are going to win out over the bows and arrows. So they came with technology and they defeated them. So not until the Spanish overseers came with their guns and forcing their beliefs on the land. Okay, see, I've talked to you about this many times. What is it when the Spanish and the Italian, when the Mediterranean force their beliefs upon you? Accept this or die. That's called what? I've told you many, many times. And this is what they did. They went to these islands and pushed their inquisition on these people, these Deuteron people. So if they're running around with fucking guns, now of course we don't have the date of this. They're running around on ships with guns, then it's easy for them to overthrow people that are sleeping, working, just living their fucking lives. You see, hey, it's a boat. Hey, how you guys doing? Pew! Yeah, and this is how the Spanish were acting. All right, now, are they running around with their sword? Are they stealing everything with the sword, just like it says of Esau in the Bible? Yes, they are. Is the descendants of Esau hidden within the Mediterranean? Uh, yeah, when Esau's grandson goes and forces Kittim to mix with was it Elisha, whoever they mix with, from no the people from the island, I think is fucking idiots from Cyprus. They make they that's Kittim being formed. You know, it's been a while since I read Jashir. It's slipping. I gotta refresh those file cabinets. It's a shame. It's like they only hold so much. I don't want to upgrade. I like it. It gives me a chance to not think sometimes. All right, so the Etas and the Proto-Malay natives, the Deutero Malays, in comparison, were not British, so they overruled them, majority of the archipelago, until the Spanish came in and with guns, enforcing their beliefs on the land. So they were pushed more down to the south areas of the archipelago. So this is why they're in Fiji and Papua New Guinea and things like that. They're pushed out of those areas. It's Spanish coming in, you move or die, right? Because they're stealing everything. All right, so I think we are at the end. Now, I can always look at some of the oh. We got people Papua New Guinea, right? No, and these people, you type in people of and you hit enter, and when black people come up, that means that they're white managers. don't live on the land with them. All right, now they got Coca-Cola on the island. Now, believe me, they got managers. All right, they got they can have as much uh, paint and colors and shit that they want, but anything that don't, that has to do with technology, then they've got rulers there. When we're talking about Papua New Guinea, I believe they got airports, so their colonizers do live on land with them. Their colonizers do live in the same place with them. They just don't live in the forest. Okay, this is just some weekend slut that wants to come out and run wild in the jungle and shit. Um, you see people look like this all the time in the States. All right, listen to dude look like he from fucking Zap Band and shit. You know, they look like damn near Joe Jackson. Fucking, but you see people that look like somebody is because your blood is from these parts. Now, whether they migrated down during Spanish craziness or not, blah blah blah. That's what it is now. Now you see this dude, he got red hairs coming out of there, right? Now there's red print right there, I think, but he still got red hair. Over here on the side, there's no question. Now, when you see those Egyptians having red hair, you can see he's part of that relation, right? You see these full beards, right? You see, these people, they're not different blood than you. The fuck is that? That's some damn hockey trying evil bastard. Now, you see this kid from Papua New Guinea, big ass. I don't know. It was like the kid to be contact, but portrait of a woman, prominence dressed, but so she's in Papua New Guinea too. All right. Now, how many people that live in your city look like her? You know, I mean, these people, they're your people. You've just been separated from, they're just, or these could be my people. I don't know. Not to a great degree yet, but when you go to African Americans Ain't African, he does videos and he shows you one of these dudes from Papua New Guinea, and he shows you his image next to LeBron James and shit, and you see that you know there's a close relation. You know, you know, you don't see too many people. So this person's the Equat Guinea famous people. I don't know what Guinea he's from, if he could be from this place. But you know, there's plenty of people that look like this in the States and shit. You can go here and look. And this is all the Papua New Guinea Surf Club. So I mean, this cat looked like your grandpa, and you know where your bloodlines uh, are from. You can see these people live as one. They're not separated like we are here. You know, you got some sisters that look like that. There's some cousins that look like that without the makeup. And you know when part of your family is from. You know, they don't want you to know about these people over there. You know, so we go up here. go down a page or two. We always start there, right? Let's go down a little ways. And as you can see, these kids, the blonde hair thing ain't just a childhood thing. All these brown kids, wool hair kids with blue eyes, right? Blonde hair and blue eyes. And as you can see, this kid from the same place, and he got straight hair. Now there's woolly hair kids and straight hair kids, you know. I don't think hair get whiter than that. I think that's the whitest hair get, you know. So yeah, there. Great. How's everybody doing? Earlier, we went over different groups, and we stumbled upon the whole races of men page, and so we decided to come back to the races of men page, and we're going to discuss some of the things we see going on here in the whole races of men section. And I'm gonna show you a few things. We're gonna just, this is gonna be leisure, to a degree, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so the first thing that we see over here is we have, here we go. Now, in this picture, it says that the red is the Indian, the yellow is Mongolian. It states the white is Caucasian. It states the brown people are Malay, and the black people are African. And we can see this. It doesn't quite matter when some of these are created. I just want to show you how diverse all these different authors are. Now, here's one, and I find this one very important. We see the black Australian. If you type in Australian and go to Google Images, you will see white people. Here in the Arctic, you see a white person. And if you type in Arctic people today, you are going to see Mongoloids. So this says that white man started in Arctic. Now, the Bible says somebody was given the cold land because their inner core was mustaches. You see, he doesn't grow any hair on his jawbone. He just grows a goatee. Now pay attention to these phenotypes. This is how you can tell who your neighbor is, what your neighbor is, where they were stolen from. Who warred with the European or the so-called European. Okay, so here is a Somali, an Ethiopian Hamite. So they wanted to throw all that shit in there. Okay? Somali, Ethiopian Hamite. And that's what they want you to believe. Now you see again, as he's marked as the Ethiopian, he can grow a mustache, but he doesn't seem to be able to grow a beard. I mean, he could have shaved today, but I doubt it. I very well doubt it. All right. Now here you have the Zulu. Now you see he's got a clean shave, clean face. I don't think they grow facial hair. Hence, he wants to have a goatee so bad he done put spikes in his shit. All right, so then you have the Western Hamite, so these people claim. And I think that's my computer screen, or does he have something on his nose? Hey, you got something on your nose, man. All right, so now you can see that his hair grows in a somewhat curly pattern, and he knots his hair as well. That is the Tuareg. Tuareg. Duroc! So here we have a Nubian woman, or a Nubian girl. That doesn't look like a girl, that looks like a woman. So you can see how tight and fine those braids can get, right? Now, here's where you have an and or Andaman Islander, or the Negrito. Now, I think it's funny that they call it the an dam, like anatomy. So this is the adamant. The European is white. The Mongolian has an afro, and the African's hair kind of looks straight. So you see the Australian with the curly hair above the African, and look down at the African, and its hair's kind of straight. It's kind of feathered. It's almost like the Arctic. It's almost like the American, but it's not really like the Caucasian. Yes, he has browner skin, his skin's drawn brown, but his hair is drawn straight and feathery. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to be a complete idiot to see this is the closest to original picture that we're ever going to see about the races of men. Now, we all believe white people didn't start in Europe, and that's fine. We can keep whatever beliefs we want. We can all believe that the Caucasian on here that's brown skin belongs in Africa, and we can all believe that the names need to be switched around. But I believe these names are closer to their original. Now, when we go over some more of these, I've picked out a few to kind of look at. But browsing over a few of these isn't going to hurt us. All right, so there's 4 races of men, and you can see they are named as the Caucasian, the Negro, the Mongolian, and the American Indian. So I think it's funny how this Bible says there's 3 forefathers, but all these seem to be broken into more than just 3. And this is in 1885. The words are at the bottom, but they're so small. It's just a tease to go in and go back and forth and whatnot. So we're going to look at a few. Now, we've looked at this one. We might come back to it. It seems to be a favorite. Now, this one we haven't looked at. Here, first, we have this top row. We have the Australian. Now, this is the Australian, and next to him, oopsie, where's my slide bar? There we are. Next to him is the pygmy. Now, this is the negrillo. All right, so that's the African pygmy. All right, there's another pygmy down there, and it will be the negrito, and that is the Asian pygmy. All right, so again, to believe these people came out of Africa is a fucking joke at this point. Now, if you stick with their colonial views that you have Africans, then you can do that. But I'm going to show you some shit today. All right. So when we see this is the Veda. This is the full-faced Veda. There's no more. There we go. So he's considered the pre-Dravidian. Now here is the Veda from profile. Now, yeah, going on. Here we have the Papuan. Papuan. These are the people of Papua New Guinea, the Papuan. And next to that, we have the Bushman. Now, most times they show you a Bushman, they want to show you a big giant afro and say, the afro represents that this is a Bushman. Now, look how unique his was hot. Somebody was given the hot lands because their inner core was cold. So some people were placed in hot lands because naturally they just have more of a cold or a low fire. Some people were placed or won lots, right, in cold places because the inside of their tissues are fiery. Some people were just placed right in the middle because they weren't too hot and they weren't too cold. And just like the three bears, right? Now, the funny thing is we all know how white people love the cold because their skin has what we call what is it? It's when we go over the EU melanin and they have sulfur in their, it's not sulfur, they have another name for what's in theirs, but it's basically sulfur based, and this is why they can deal well in cold. Now, when we see the Arctic here, we understand that principle, and I'm just not making it up. My wife burns hot when I get close to her. Sometimes she overheats, so she needs it cool. I'm sure other people have different stories about their wives, no matter what their wives look like, just based on the principles of what we're all made with. If we look at this picture some more, again, the Australian is black, the Arctic is white, the American Indian, of course, is red, the Caucasian down in the lower corner is black.